I got my new miter saw station finished, and it's got a lot of unique storage in here. I also use the same kind of storage up on top. So you can see this one over here is kind of a tool board that pulls out. I have a video on that on my second channel. I have one other storage thing here in the shop that I was kind of stumped on until I saw a video by Pocket83 where he stored his bandsaw blades right up on the ceiling. I thought that was ingenious. Unfortunately, I can't do anything like that on my ceiling because, first of all, the ceiling is suspended, it's acoustic tiles. Also, I've got this gantry crane that slides back and forth. There's very little clearance. So I was thinking that instead I would build a kind of an upside down drawer that will pull out up here, and then I could put the bandsaw blades completely unfolded, which is what these are over here. If I can get them out. These are 120-inch bandsaw blades. It's not that much of a problem to fold up the narrow ones, but these bigger ones, they're kind of tricky, and I prefer not to do it anyway. I would rather have a place that I can just put them up, you know, unfolded like this. And that's what I want to do in this video. All right, first thing I need to do is come up with a size for this drawer. I've got a piece of plywood that's 52 inches long. It's the biggest piece I have laying around here. And I've put this piece of plywood here as a stop. That'll be the depth of the drawer, the maximum depth I can get. And I'm just going to take a blade and shove it in there. It'll fit in that space there, which is 16¼ inches this way and 52 that way. But I think I'll make it a little bit longer, just to give me a little bit more leeway. So I'll make it 54. I'm going to be using 3/4 inch plywood for the back of the drawer. I'm going to cut it off at 54 inches here on the miter saw. I've got about 5½ inches of clearance underneath the gantry beam up there. So, but I don't think I need any more than 4 inches. So I'm going to rip this piece to 4 inches. I've also got a piece for the sides. This will make both of them. And I'll rip that next. For the front of the drawer, I want to use the same maple plywood as I've used on the rest of it, so it'll match up. So I've got a piece here that's about 57 inches long. Let's cut 4 inches off the edge of this. On every other plywood door here, I've banded the edge so that, you know, it covers the particle board in this case. And I'm going to rip 1/8 of an inch off to accommodate that extra thickness here. Take it off the factory edge, which looks like it's in pretty rough shape anyway. I trim off the end and then flip it around and cut it to length. I'm going to take the time now to edge band the front because it'd be very difficult to do it after. And I'm not going to show that, but if you're interested in how I do it, I've got a video specifically on that, and there's a link in the description. I've got the edge banding all done on the front, and I'm ready to attach it to the side. Normally you have a sub front on a drawer that the front actually attaches to, but in this case I want to economize as much as possible. So I'm just going to drive one screw through the middle into this piece of plywood. Then I'm going to put a couple of brads, one on top and one on bottom. I've also put glue in the joint, polyurethane construction adhesive. And I'm driving the screw first because it pulls the joint in tight. Then I'll drive the nails, and what the nails will do will keep it from twisting. Now I can attach the back in pretty much the same way, just one screw on each end and some glue, of course, and a couple of brads. Now this drawer doesn't need a bottom, or I guess you could call it a top, but it does need something to keep it from wobbling too much. So I've cut these corner blocks from a piece of 2x10. Laying around. Just going to get some glue on there and just attach them with brads right here in the corners. Now to hold the blades in there, I don't think it really needs anything more than just a couple of pieces of wood attached right down here at the bottom, and then the edge of the blade will sit right up on top of that. So these are just strips of 3/4 inch plywood that I cut to, I don't know, about 5/8 of an inch. I'll just tack them on there with some brads. The handle I made will cover up the screws that I put through the front. It'll also keep the front straighter because this is kind of floppy. So I'm just going to put that in place like that and drive screws in from behind. I let the glue dry on this overnight so it'll be all nice and firmed up. I also went in and I designed the way this is going to slide. I could use drawer slides for this, full extension, or even cheap ones would probably work, although they wouldn't get it out as far as I'd like. But I wanted to try something a little bit tricky and different here. So I messed around on SketchUp until I came up with something that looks good on paper. I can't say for certain if it's going to work in reality, but I did put it together here. I've got nothing to lose but my time. And basically what it is, it's a hinge system here. I've got 2 pieces of wood, 3 pairs of hinges, and the drawer will slide out, and these things will keep it from tipping down and also act kind of as a guide to keep it going straight. Now this thing is not that heavy, so I think that'll work okay, but I've already got this side done. I'm going to go ahead and build that other side, then I'll be able to put it up. All right, so the basic parts of this system, you could say, are the side. I'm using particle board for that because it really doesn't have to be anything better, and that'll guide the drawer in and out. And then there are 2 pieces of plywood that act as that hinge mechanism, I guess you could say. I've got a piece that's 4 inches, and I cut this to 3 inches because I had a scrap that was that size, so I decided to use that. Best to not use your best material when you're experimenting with a new procedure like this. So this piece will get hinged onto the back of the drawer. This one will get hinged to the side like this, and then they'll both get hinged together. One concern that I do have is that these hinges that I'm using here are too small. If that turns out to be the case, it's not a big deal. I can always swap them out for bigger hinges, but then I'd have to go buy those. But still, I think it's worth the trouble. It's an interesting mechanism. It also saves the cost of a set of slides. The full extension ones are, you know, a lot more than these hinges would be. Okay, so that one's done and works well. The only thing left to do is to put it up and mount it to the cabinet. So basically the way this is going to work, bandsaw blade up inside there like that, and then you squeeze it up there like that. So that's one, and it looks like it fits perfectly. I'm going to put the least used ones in first. That way, if I need a blade, I won't have to go digging through it, you know, to reach the one that I need.
Beside my bed is cluttered with junk, scraps of paper.